So I like to start my day at 5 a.m. It is very bright and early. It's very, very quiet. I automatically, pee just like any other normal person, and then I go to my Keurig. I feel like the Keurig has become this ritual thing. It's just the sound of the coffee going into the cup. It's the smell. That whole thing kind of is like a cue for me to kind of start my day. Once I do the Keurig thing, I'm not tempted to jump back in bed. You cannot wing it at 5 a.m. At 5 a.m., I make my coffee and I automatically go into prayer and devotion. The girls and hubs are not up yet. So for me, it really is my me time. It allows me to pour into my cup. Basically, when my cup is overflowing, the overflow is for everybody else. What's in my cup is for me. And I just feel full when I get the word in me and I read devotion. It just kind of automatically sets the theme of my day. After devotion, I like to, of course, pray, and I do gratefulness journaling. What I will do is just write 3 things down, and I usually just write it in a Google Doc, just 3 things I'm grateful for. They don't have to be deep. The point is whatever I am grateful for at that time, I just allow myself to get it out of my brain. It's just kind of like pouring good energy all over my day. For whatever reason, if I don't wake up at 5 a.m., which is not every single day, some days I miss the mark, for whatever reason it's 7:15. I can never just wake up at like 6:30 and like kind of be prepared. It's either 5 or 7:15. Those are the options. And so at 5:30, I start reading. And then if I am listening to a book, an audio book as well, I will usually do that after physically reading a book. But again, that kind of just depends on the day. But one thing I'm always doing is physically reading a book. So by 6 a.m., we are now kind of an hour into the day. I got my kind of mental juices flowing. I'm feeling inspired. I'm feeling grateful. So then I'll kind of allow myself to either, write a blog post that I'm working on, clear my inbox if it's just a total catastrophe, which is usually 2 to 3 times out of the week for sure. And I will also then delegate to my team and kind of send them kind of like what's going on, what's the schedule for this week or whatnot. So I like to kind of get out of the starting blocks of the day, and doing that at 6 kind of gives me leeway from everybody else. Waiting to do that till 9 a.m. is just no bueno because people are already in their day. So at 6:45, I kind of just force myself to wrap things up. I've told myself many times like, oh, it'll be fine if I go till 7, if I go till 7:15, and then I'm like dramatically late to everything for the rest of the day. So I forced myself at 6:45 to go get ready, do my morning skincare routine, make sure I'm dressed and ready to go before I wake up the girls. So I kind of like to use that like 15 to 20 minutes to get ready, allow myself to get started for the day. Usually by that time, Hubs is leaving out for work, so I can kind of touch base with him, see what we have going on for the day, and make sure we're all on the same page. Girls up around 7 a.m. because the 4-year-old is just a lot more opinionated than the 1-year-old. I like to wake her up first. It's usually like a 10-15 minute process. I try my best to set the day as best and as positive as possible. And I usually like to decide what they're wearing the night before, just again because thinking of anything that early in the morning is not fun. So by 7:30, 7:40, we are sitting down and we're having breakfast. We're kind of setting the tone for the day. I'm making sure that I have everything that they need for their bags for school, making sure certain worksheets are in their folder, whatever have you. I try my best to make sure that's all together. And then, just really kind of talk and interact. So by 8 a.m. or again, depending on the day, 8 a.m. to 8:10, we jump in the car and we head to school. Really, really blessed. I think the school is about 2 miles away from my house. Usually goes with like prayer. I ask the girls if they're ready to have an amazing day. They both scream yeah, and they giggle and, just have a good time. And then we usually listen to some music. I have a little playlist of all like the Disney jams that we like to listen to. My 4-year-old's favorite song right now is Get Up, Stand Up by Bob Marley. So we do listen to that religiously every single day. And then once I drop them off, I get back here. Depending if I run my mouth for 30 minutes at the school or for 5 minutes at the school, I'm usually back here within no time. But usually I kind of give myself that grace period in the hour of 8 o'clock where I can kind of just come, chill out, kind of take a deep breath again before I kind of jump into work mode. So at 9, I am in work mode. So at this point, and now I go ahead and I look at that inbox. I think I try my best to tackle the really, really important stuff and imperative stuff, you know, kind of immediately. But for the most part, we usually have a Google Calendar notification that will send me everything that is on my agenda for the day. I like to depend on that, and then I usually just prep for the day. If we're gonna shoot or film that day, I'll usually like pull my clothes out or make sure that my hair and makeup ready, and I'll delegate and kind of list out what we're gonna talk about in the team meeting. So by 10 o'clock, it is now like get in motion time for me, you know, because at this point, if I'm not in motion, I am probably going to procrastinate the entire day. And so by 10 o'clock, usually my team comes over. And so I'm really blessed because I essentially work with family every day. You know, my sister-in-law does all of my filming and editing, and my best friend is my photographer and handles all of like the creative and really all of like the assistant stuff. One of my really good friends who has been with me the longest, she started doing out my social media promotion and marketing and stuff like that, and now she handles all of like the correspondence, and usually if you email me, you're talking to her first. So I'm really lucky. Like I said, the person who does like the business management as far as my inbox is concerned, she doesn't need to be in person with me as much as, you know, my video producer and my photographer. They're usually with me about anywhere from like 2 on the low end to 4 times during the week. And yeah, usually we kind of come together at 10 a.m. and we kind of have like a creative brief, whether it's like formal, we're having like an hour-long one, or we're having like a 15-minute powwow. But it's really cool to work with people that you love but also respect at the same time. So at 11, we are now rocking and rolling. At this point, we're either setting up to shoot videos like this, we're either shooting campaigns with product, we're either kind of loading the car up and we're going on location in the city. Usually I like to shoot in like Midtown or Buckhead here in Atlanta, or sometimes we just have days like we did yesterday where we just are like at the computer, and sometimes it's just like really hardcore admin days, which I also love as well. So I will say this, I am not good at eating meals. So usually 1:30 is like my natural rhythm, because I feel like we've now gotten a couple of hours of work done, whether it's filming, shooting, admin, but that's usually a good time to kind of break and still have a great remainder of the work day to get some work done. So at 2, I usually IG Live if I am going to IG Live for the day. Again, if I'm swamped, I'm trying to meet deadlines, and I'm trying to make sure that a project is just in top-notch shape, I will not do an IG Live. I would say 2 p.m. is IG Live / finish the rest of the shoot, finish the rest of the project, or kind of finish the rest of an admin day. At 3:45, we usually wrap up, so if we are out and about in the city, usually by 3:30, we'll kind of start to commute back on my side of town. If we are here shooting in my house like we are today, we will absolutely start to wrap up just so we can head out to get the girls from school on time. At 4 p.m., I head and get the girls. Like if I leave my house at 4, I'm usually there before 4:10 if it's not too trafficky. And I go and get them, and you know, I'm always so excited to see them. They're just at this super, super cute age, and you know, I just love to hear how they're growing and just see how they're doing. They're just, and I love how into each other they are. So it's always a good time to pick them up. And then, you know, I'm pretty much back into mom mode. 4:30, we're back home usually, and if I don't have to run out and do one of those like emergency pop-up kind of grocery store runs, I am back home. We're doing snack time. Snack time is very serious at our house. If you want to have happy kids, have these snacks on deck. And I usually like to give them a little bit of like TV time. So whether it's like watching their favorite show on like Netflix or Hulu or whatever they want to watch, I'll throw it on and go ahead and get dinner, you know, prepped and ready to go. At 5:30, again, on a good day, if traffic's not horrific and everything goes as planned. Hubs is home. The girls are usually just over the moon to see him, so I kind of let them have their daddy-daughter time, and I will go ahead and kind of wrap up whatever loose ends I did not get to wrap up. And I will say on the days that, you know, the team is here, I'm on social media a lot less, just because I like to be really focused when it's time to do my work. So I want to do a really good job. Like, I want to make content that people are excited about, they're inspired by it, they're informed by it, and I really do give my all, you know, in those 5 hours that I do work a day, and that's important to me. So at 5:30 I'll kind of wrap up loose ends and start to kind of get a real true idea of what the next day will look like. And like I said, day to day it is very different. Sometimes at 5:30 it's super hectic, maybe I need to jump on a call, prep for a coaching call, whatever have you, but it's just important for me to kind of tie up those loose ends. So at 6 p.m. it is officially family time, which I love. Usually by this time I like to get the girls away from screens, just because it's like, all right, you've had an hour and a half to kind of watch some TV. I like to make sure the little one is like crawling and walking around, because she's in that discovery mode where she's just learning so many new and different things, and I like for her and her sister to interact together. So we like to do family time. A lot of times that means either myself or my husband, we're wrapping up dinner, and so we'll kind of blast music and kind of have like a pre-dinner dance party. Sometimes there's a post-dinner dance party too if we didn't wrap it up, and it's really great. We have such a great time, and that time is really, really precious to me. And so very, very seldom, if at all, will you ever see me or hear of me scheduling anything that time. So usually 6:30 we'll all eat, we'll have a good time, and I like to give dinner time at least 45 minutes, you know? I try my best to take dinner time really seriously and allow people to just eat, tell me they're not hungry anymore, become hungry again, and then go ahead with the day. At 7:30 we get into the bath. Again, we try to make that an experience and a moment. Again, depending on the day, bath time can be 7:15 or it can be 7:50. We just try our best to just kind of keep the trifecta of dinner time, bath time, bedtime pretty consecutive. A bath time is really fun. We, you know, do the whole thing, toys, singing, having fun, talking about our day, and, you know, really just kind of putting a bow on top of the day with the bath time experience. At 8 p.m. we try to get the little ones in bed. We like to read books, you know, and just kind of continue that whole experience from bath time. And we love, love, love reading. The girls have quite the collection of books, so I try to make sure that we're reading every single night. If it's not myself, it's definitely Hubs, and if it's not Hubs, whoever is watching them, their grandparents and auntie, whoever, they know how seriously we take reading in this house, and so they're absolutely reading. At 8:30, I like to tidy up and prep for the day. I just feel so much better when I'm able to do this, and I'm not even talking like a full-on clean. I just kind of feel like whenever I am just continuously leaving a room how I want to meet it, I usually don't have to do like a big, huge clean overhaul. And yeah, I just like tidy up and prep for the day. Again, if I do have to open up my laptop, I will at this point, because the kids are down, and I'll usually kind of ask Hubs like, hey, can you give me an hour, you know? Because I think at this time too, I like to kind of come together with Hubs and kind of just like talk to him and kind of say, hey, how was your day? You know, we'll definitely have that conversation during dinner and see how each other are, but as far as like uninterrupted us time, that usually happens in the evening for us. At 9, I like to decompress, and this is something that like I realized that I needed thanks to therapy, and that I had to be really honest and candid about with Hubs. It's just like, I just kind of need like that brief reset moment before I get into talking to him about how his day isn't, you know, how his day was, or even getting into like jumping into my skincare routine, jumping in the shower, doing this, doing that. I just kind of need to kind of like let the dust settle of the day and then gradually move into kind of wrapping it all up. But when I decompress, and sometimes I just need 5 minutes, sometimes I need more like an hour. But I think just being honest about that time is really important. And I know I'm usually a lot happier when I get it. And I usually think I'm able to pour into my girls, my husband a lot better when I'm able to do that. So 9:30 usually now calls for quality time with hubs. We are typically maybe watching a TV show. Maybe there's something we saw on YouTube that we really liked and we're showing each other. And, then we're starting to kind of wrap up, like, all right, let me go ahead and jump in the shower, do the 11-step nighttime skincare routine. But I like it. It's just kind of our time, get to kind of chill out. So at 10, if I'm really smart and really disciplined that day, I'm in bed. I'm just in bed. I'm not necessarily sleeping, but I'm in bed. I'm chilling out. I'm relaxing. Because even if I'm not asleep, just being in bed is huge, and that is really important for me to be able to get up at 5, Typically, I don't naturally fall asleep until 11 unless I am like exhausted. In bed, I'm usually reading a magazine or another chapter of my book. And I just like the 10 o'clock hour. That it's kind of sweet. I will say, like a couple of weeks ago, for whatever reason, I was just randomly staying up until 1 a.m. It was just like a trash decision that I could not. It was like that vicious cycle. At 10:30, ideally I am asleep. Like I said, on those super tired days, I'm done. Lights out. I'll turn off my lamp. Hubs, you can do whatever you want. But this girl, she's going to sleep. And yeah, I like to be to sleep. But like I said, I think if I'm being really transparent, it's usually closer to 11. But again, usually you're not seeing me just like hanging out and doing anything out of my bed after 11. It's just, I need that sleep. Like, I could easily say 10 years ago was not a morning person. Again, would rather give you my left arm than wake up at 5 a.m. But now I thrive when it happens. I absolutely need to wake up that early to get all the things that I need to get done. But I like it that way. Like, I think it definitely serves me in this current season of my life. And I don't think it necessarily will work for everybody, but, hopefully you took something from this, Let me know, what are like the 3 most important things that you guys do in a day? So that's everything I do in a day.